Okay, we are live, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the stream. I am Mr. Nice Guy 425, one of your co-hosts.
And I'm Maction, your other co-host here on Two Nerds in a Pod, the gaming talk show slash podcast slash everything, really.
Yeah, it's a lot of things in one. We multitask here, really, is what it comes down to. So this is episode 2, and let's see, is that my computer or yours that's playing some music?
It's got to be yours, I think.
Oh, you know what it is? It's I think it's the preview of the video. You know how they have those ads when you start streaming?
Yeah.
That's what it was, but it's gone now. Anyway, Mac, how was your week, buddy?
It was good. My wife's brother got married.
No way, I
Um,
didn't know that. I didn't even know your wife had a brother.
she has two actually, and he's the last of their clan to get married.
That's crazy. So she has a twin, right? And she has two brothers as
Right.
well.
Correct,
Wow.
correct.
Wow.
So four total in her family, and they're all married, and this was the last one. And so we made the pilgrimage northward to Salt Lake City to do the wedding, and that kept me busy most of the weekend. But it was good times. Got to see some family members that hadn't seen in quite some time. So all things told, it was pretty good.
Good. Well, dude, and you know what else that means? That basically means that you never have to go to another wedding.
Not on that side.
On that, that's what I meant. Yeah, on that side.
And hopefully on my side, I hope we're all done with weddings because everybody's been married at least once.
At least
Yes.
once. What's
Yes.
if you don't mind me asking, what's the most? Actually, I won't ask that. I won't ask that.
Yeah, no, two. My
Two
little brother's been married twice.
Okay.
He's currently on his second marriage. But that's I'm just saying. I hope that we don't have any more on my side of the family, and no more expected on her side of the family. So I think we're done.
Dude, that's a joyous day. Congratulations to them and congratulations to you. Welcome to the stream.
I did all the work. You are correct.
Yeah, you had a lot
Congratulations
to do
on
with
the order.
it. You played matchmaker. You probably paid for all the weddings.
Yep,
It was
you
probably
know.
all you. Well, hey, welcome to the stream, guys who are coming in. This is Two Nerds in a Pod, episode 2, October 4th, 2016. Gaming talk show. Mac was just telling you about his week. My week was solid too, Mac. It's been slow on the comedy front. I've just had so much other stuff going on. Trying to get my website, my personal comedy website, up and running. Just doing different stuff, man. You know how life is. Just being busy. Not doing a ton of gaming. We'll talk about what games we've been playing later. But regardless, it's been really good. I find that I've been getting less sleep, and it increased my confidence in myself and my ability to only need 5 hours of sleep each night. So that was a good feeling. I think I went to bed at like 2 o'clock yesterday and woke up at 6:30 today. So
Wow.
I don't
Was
really
it
need
the
sleep to
kids?
function. What's that?
Was it the kids?
No, it was just me working on my website, honestly, and I think I played
Okay.
a little 2K too, NBA 2K. So yeah, it's been good. Life is good, work is good, family's good. Sounds like it's the same for you.
Yeah, things are good. We're having a good time over here. Granted, we are short. We are short one awesome person, namely you, since you're in Chicago.
I
But
know, man.
this will have to work.
Yeah, this works, dude. Well, shall we hop right into the show?
Absolutely.
Get our segment started. All right, man. Well, as you guys know, we start off with the gaming news. We'll share with you some of the most interesting stories in the gaming world right now. The first one actually involves everyone's favorite game to either love or hate, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, which comes out in November, the annual release. This is on Game Informer. It says Activision confirms Call of Duty Infinite Warfare disc will be required for Modern Warfare Remastered play. Now, just to give you guys some background, a new Call of Duty is coming out this year, but they're also doing a remastered version of Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, one of the most popular, highly acclaimed iterations of Call of Duty, and it is going to be released as a disc. I believe it's going to be released digitally, but the disc for Infinite Warfare will be required, meaning that you can't just buy the digital version of Modern Warfare remastered. You have to buy both versions of the game. So it says earlier this week we reported that wording in the official Call of Duty website suggested that an inserted Infinite Warfare disc will be required in order to play the remastered version of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. This is Game Informer speaking, we contacted Activision for confirmation, and the company has since updated its official page with greater detail. In short, the original report is accurate. On both the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, if you own a physical copy of Infinite Warfare, a disc must be inserted in order to play Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered. The disc will need to remain inserted to continue playing Remastered. Modern Warfare Remastered is a separate download that requires an internet connection, but once your download's complete, you do not need an internet connection for traditionally offline modes like Campaign. So, long story short, they're making you pay. They're making you pay for a game you may not want to get the game that you do want. That's how I interpret it. Mac, what are your thoughts, man? You think this is
Well,
any
you know
ethical
me.
dilemma here?
I am very much so with my finger on the pulse of these first-person shooter games, these PS4 things, and as well, of course, it should not be forgotten that I'm also a master of sports ball. But when you get right down to it, I'm kind of ambivalent about it, really.
Okay, but let's look at it. What if it was a game that you cared about? Like let's say that that Mega Man 2, that's your favorite one, right? Mega Man 2 is coming out. It's remastered.
Mega Man 2 is remastered.
But additionally, a new Mega Man. Let's say, what was the Mega Man remake? Not remake, but the spiritual successor that just came out.
Mighty Number 9.
Yeah, let's say that you want to get Mega Man 2.
Okay.
But to play Mega Man 2, you also have to purchase Mighty Number 9 and have the disc inserted the whole time. How would you feel about
Mr. Nice Guy, I have to commend you for knowing me well enough that you could piece together perhaps the perfect sequence of things to put it in my terms.
I'm pretty proud of myself.
I would be upset.
Yeah.
Frankly, and I think I would be a little bit outraged that I would have to put down money for a game that I didn't want in order to play the one that I did.
Right.
Especially if all you're talking about is a remaster to the old one. I mean, maybe if I had to have the old one in order to play the new one, prove that I actually own the physical copy of the old one. That would still be a little bit much, but that makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm less than enthused about it, and when you couch it in terms that my brain can wrap itself around, then I have to say that yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I kind of agree. But it is what it is. It's their business. If people want the old game, they're gonna have to buy the new one, and hold on to it, no less. They can't just buy it and trade it in. They got to insert it every time into the console. Anyway, moving on, we do have several other news stories. If you guys have comments on that, let us know what you think in the chat. Now, I don't know what your legalese story is, but I'm going to skip one of my news stories just in case we might overlap later on.
Mm-hmm.
But here's a story about the Nintendo NX from WCCFtech.com. It says Nintendo NX to be 3 to 4 times stronger than the Wii U. Multiple sources confirm NVIDIA Pascal Tegra. No 4K upscaling, and HDR is rumored. It says September has come and gone, but there still hasn't been any Nintendo NX reveal. The secrecy surrounding the new console from Nintendo is making fans more and more curious about it, and we may have managed to learn some new details thanks to some of these curious fans asking one informed insider multiple questions. Now, going down, it says Direct Feed Gaming has been asked about possible 4K upscaling and HDR support in the vein of the Xbox One S. According to the insider, it could be technically possible, but he doesn't believe Nintendo will be going for it. Direct Feed Gaming also doesn't believe any of the features that have been recently patented by Nintendo will be making it into the NX, as the only hook of the console will be its hybrid nature. So once again, these are rumors, but it sounds like it's going to be much stronger than the Wii U, which I don't know, maybe that doesn't mean a lot to you guys, but as a Nintendo guy who grew up on Nintendo, I'm excited to see what they do with it, and I really do hope that it is a stronger console, but not just stronger, that it actually has good software. That's really what it comes down to. It's not how strong a console is. So,
well, let's not forget, I think Super Nintendo, I think Nintendo certainly won those old console wars, even though Sega had the blast processing.
It's absolutely right. I think it came down to games back then. I mean, the fact that Nintendo in 2016 is able to re-release an NES Mini that will be coming out soon says a lot about the quality of those games that they released on the NES and how timeless they were, how timeless they are, and the fact that people are still going to go drop $60, I think it is, to get a bunch of games essentially digitally on a piece of hardware that doesn't play cartridges. So kind of cool.
Yeah.
Here's a story that'll be right up your alley, Mac. This is on Kotaku. And the title of this, it deals with Steam. It says the people fighting to keep crappy games off of Steam. Now, have you heard about this before I read this story?
Yes, actually, and I think it relates to our legalese as well.
Should we hold off on this story?
Let's hold off on
Let's
that
hold
for
off
just
on
at
it.
least a moment. If I may, actually, I can keep things rolling with some more information about the NES Mini.
Yeah, let's hear about it.
While we've heard a little bit about it and we've seen some releases, only over the weekend, specifically about 5 days ago, Nintendo gave us a look at the actual operation of the NES Mini. And 5 days ago, what they did was they actually put out a video of the operation of the Famicom Mini, which the Famicom was the Nintendo that was the NES that was released in the Japanese market. And it was known as the Nintendo Entertainment System, or the NES over here. And so they revealed that they were going to have a Famicom Mini for Japan, and they actually started by showing some of the games that they'd have on there. A lot of the games are the same, some of them are different, and showing how it actually operated. They followed it up one day later with a separate video showing off the NES Mini and how it will work out. And it's obvious that even though they were playing very, very quiet about the NES Mini and of course the Famicom Mini, these re-released consoles, even though they were playing very quiet and didn't say whether these were going to be emulated, whether they're going to be whatever, it is pretty much cat out of the bag. The NES Mini is going to be an emulation, a console that's just emulating it. It seems like, and this is a little bit of conjecture, but as you know, the Wii that comes without a wireless thing inside of it is actually only $100, and it seems almost like they're probably using many of the same components from the Wii
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
to actually make this. And if you take off the extra, the GameCube ports, the wireless interface or the wireless internet, also you take away the peripherals, you strip away the peripherals that are being used for the Wiimotes and things like that. It does look like what they've probably done. And again, you'll have to check the video of it for yourself, but it's up on Nintendo's YouTube. That it looks like they've taken some of the software that they've already worked up and the emulation that they're already doing with the Wii Virtual Console and have just sort of locked it down to these 30 games. This does, of course, mean, since it's an emulator, that people will almost immediately after getting their hands on the NES Mini, they're going to have it cracked open. Yeah. They're going to have soldered in an SD card with all the games on it and updated the firmware. I mean, I'd be surprised if it takes more than a week before we have an NES, an NES Mini that plays any and all of the games.
Which it almost doesn't make sense to me, because I guess it's almost like you're playing on original hardware, so maybe that excites people.
No, it's actually, if they're going with emulation, then it's not going. I mean, well, okay. So I do happen to hang around in crowds where original hardware versus emulation is kind of a hot button issue, but essentially they can come close with the emulation, and they might even get it almost perfect, or maybe even perfect. But it's really hard to get an emulator to do it just right. So it could be better than the currently available emulators, but it's never going to be. It's unlikely to ever be as precise as the original hardware. Although playing it with one of these controllers is going to be. Well, I mean, this is a dog bone controller because it'll be the square ones. But playing it on an NES controller will certainly add a lot to the experience, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we got a couple more news stories. We'll kind of breeze through these just so we can kind of stay on point. This next one and thank you for that extra info on the mini.
Yeah, sorry about ranting
No,
there.
I wanted to hear. That's great. That's interesting to me and to our viewers too. Google unveils Daydream View VR device. This is on Game Informer as well. So basically, in addition to the PlayStation VR, the Oculus Rift, all the other VRs, now Google is unveiling one. It says consumers aren't exactly flocking to VR technology quite yet, but that's not stopping Google from entering the VR arms race. The Daydream View allows users to access VR from their phones, like a more advanced version of Google Cardboard, which Mac I know you own, and I've tried, and I thought it was pretty cool. Google previously announced its plans for the new device, but only unveiled a product during a live event today. The Daydream View is more of a competitor to the Gear VR than the more complete platforms like Vive, Rift, and PSVR. It costs about $80 and can be used with multiple Daydream-ready phones and is slated to release in November. I don't know if we need this. People just releasing all types of goggles. This one looks like it comes with a little remote control for audio or something like that. I think that it's getting to be overkill. And I think that for short periods, people may want to play VR on their phones with a headset, but I think ultimately if people are going to play VR, they're going to play on an actual VR headset. That's just my opinion. So it is what it is. Mac, is that something you're going to be picking up?
Probably not. Like you said, I've got my hands on some Google Cardboard. That's good enough for me. Frankly, it's been, the VR stuff thus far has been fun, but I haven't really found anything that's kept me entertained more than just sort of just an oddity, a novelty. That's the word I'm looking for. More than just a novelty.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have a story about the NCAA lawsuit. You didn't have this involved in our legalese, did you? Cool.
No, I did not.
Awesome. So this is also on Game Informer. It says Supreme Court declines to hear NCAA case appeals. The Supreme Court will not hear the appeals on either side of the O'Bannon versus NCAA class action case. It's a tongue twister. Regarding compensation for college athletes. This leaves in place a lower court ruling determining that the College Athletes Association violated antitrust laws, but also the appeal to the ruling that prevents college athletes from being paid. Thus, college sports remained unchanged for the time being, and therefore so does the limbo status of video games based on college football in particular. So we were actually talking about this. I went to lunch with some coworkers today, and we were talking about whether or not college athletes should be paid. My argument is that they should, because at least in the past, their likenesses were allowed to be used on the covers of video games that were sold, made tons of money, brought much acclaim to the universities that they represented. In addition, there's jersey sales, there's ticket sales. Someone who I was eating with today, and I don't know if this is a fact or not, said that when a college wins a national championship in either college or football, that it results in the GPA of students who are coming in being much, much higher because more people want to go there. So, and that can only help the university, more demand. So I think college athletes should be paid. I'd love to see this happen so that we can get these NCAA games back. But it's the Supreme Court's not listening to the case for now. So one last news story, and then we will hop onto our next segment. This is about Twitch Prime. Mac actually brought this story up to me. And essentially, you guys, it's Amazon Prime, but it comes with some Twitch benefits. So if you guys don't know what Amazon Prime is, it's their premier membership where you get your shipping in 2 days. You get all your things shipped to you in 2 days. You get access to some videos, some movies, and some things like that. Additionally, you can get some better prices on items on Amazon. But now it also comes with free in-game loot, ad-free viewing for Twitch, plus a free channel subscription every 30 days, meaning that if one of your favorite Twitch people has that sub button, you can subscribe to them for 30 days, or every 30 days you can pick one person to subscribe to and help contribute to their dream of doing Twitch. You get a member discount on new release box games. You can watch movies and shows, all the same stuff as before. And Amazon Prime is just $10 a month. So or $11 a month. Mac and I were talking about this before. The monthly subscription alone is worth $5. With the rest of it, you're getting all those other benefits of the movies and the free shipping. So, Mac, is it something you're gonna hop on, or not really your thing?
Actually, this has been the tipping point for me, basically. I mean, because 2-day shipping, yes, I want that. I do want access to some of the, Amazon-only shows, most notably Tick, that's still not going to be out for like another year. But, that's something I can look forward to. But being able to get a free sub and no ads on and it is noteworthy that what they are going to do is they are going to give that money to, the money is going to go to, the streamer. It's
Oh
not like
yes.
you'll get a sub without the streamer. And I know you were clear about that, but I just wanted to be absolutely crystal clear that's they've said yes, the streamer will be getting their cut of the sub money, or that they would normally get. That will go to them. So it's not like you'll be getting emotes and those benefits without the streamer
Yeah,
benefiting.
yeah, it
So
goes in their pocket.
exactly, which is one of those things where it's kind of like, you know what? That's the tipping point for me. I've been on the fence about Amazon Prime for a while now, but yeah, I think I'm probably gonna get it. So
Yeah, and like
so
we said
yeah,
before, Amazon owns Twitch, so
yeah.
it made that partnership. It makes a lot of sense. So
Exactly. And I mean the Twitch I'm surprised that they didn't do this sooner, frankly, but yeah, so basically it's Twitch Turbo plus having a subscription, all for linking up your Amazon, your Twitch to your Amazon account.
absolutely
So, yeah. But
cool.
but yeah,
That was it for
but that's
gaming
cool stuff.
news.
All right. Well, now we've got the next little thing that we want to share with you. And if you've been around for this a little while, you know what's coming. It's gaming history. Now that we've looked at what's going on around us right now, it's time for us to take a quick look at how on earth we got here.
How did we
And
get here, Mac? Tell us.
this week in gaming history, some fantastic stuff. For starters, Final Fantasy Legend was released on the Game Boy in 1990, this past week in 1990. Now, Final Fantasy Legend was actually a game that kind of mixed things up a lot for the Final Fantasy genre. If you've played it before, you know that it has some rather interesting departures, and it's certainly quite fun in and of itself. And I love that and enjoyed it.
Look at that coordination. He muted his mic for the cough.
Sorry. Well, yeah, hey, it's only fair to mute my mic for the cough. You don't want
We
to hear
wouldn't want
that.
those germs to spread digitally. I agree.
Exactly. But this one, and this is probably the one that I'm most excited about. Well, actually, I'll save that for third. I've got three. The second one, the Nintendo 64, was released this past week
Epic
in
system.
1996.
Epic
Um,
system.
Mr. Nice Guy, I have to admit, I'm still a little bit on the fence. I mean,
What?
it deserves acclaim because it certainly did things differently. I feel like the greatest contribution that the Nintendo 64 made was confusing people about how to hold the controller. Was it this way, Mr. Nice Guy? Is it this way? So, I mean, how do you know? But yeah, the Nintendo 64.
Because you
Oh,
mentioned N64,
oh,
I had
he's
to
getting
just
stuff.
hop over here real quick and just grab a handful of N64 games that I have in the room. For those of you guys who may be too young to remember the N64, the library, to me, was one of the best gaming libraries. And graphically, it was one of the best consoles at the time. It was the best console at the time. So you guys can see I'm old school. I have Tony Hawk Pro. Oh, are you doing the same thing?
No, I've just got my controller out. I was making commentary about how to hold the thing.
I heard that, and I think you had
Yeah.
it right the second time. So we had Tony Hawk Pro Skater, had some NBA courtside Kobe Bryant, NFL Blitz. If you guys remember NFL Blitz, great game, awesome game. Gauntlet Legends, one of my favorites. I'd love to own the arcade one day. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. And then, I have more, but these are the ones I could grab quickly. One of the best games on the console, couch multiplayer, GoldenEye 007. Loved it. Great game, quality console. Thanks for mentioning that, Mac. Love the 64.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, for my part, I still, I'm still a little bit undecided. I mean, as you know, I've got that EverDrive for the 64, so I do literally have the whole library.
Yeah.
But I'm a little undecided as to whether or not Mario Kart 64.
I did have Mario Kart as well. I still have it somewhere, Okami.
It's Mario Kart 64 is fantastic. I've played it with the wife a few times, and it's quite fun.
It's a great game.
Mrs. the Mac enjoys it. But yeah, so the Nintendo 64 came out. I think it certainly was very good in its day. I think a lot of its games are still quite excellent. I
Yeah.
still need to beat Majora's Mask,
Okay.
but we can leave that for some other time. But last week in 1996, the Nintendo 64 came out. So for all of you who remember the Nintendo 64, this was the time that it came out. People were able to buy it, give it to their kids for Christmas. Although, you do have to question how nice of a parent someone is if they purchase a video game console and then stash it away for
For
nearly
that long.
3 months
Yeah.
before they give it to their child.
And they weren't
That's
smart
cruel.
enough to wait till Black Friday. Although if it was a new
Yeah.
console, there probably wouldn't have been Black Friday deals anyway.
Yeah, probably not. And Black Friday, correct me if I'm wrong, but Black Friday is more of a, like a
Yeah, it's more
recent
it's more
past.
recent. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so the Nintendo 64. And then the last one, and I think most importantly, this last one, Pokemon Red and
Oh
Blue saw
yes.
their release in the United States. And I know I've told this story before in other places, but a good friend of mine and I, he's away, at podiatry school, so I haven't seen him lately, but we made our friendship. We became friends over Pokemon because he had Pokemon Red and Blue, and he wanted someone to trade with. So he handed me Pokemon Blue, and he said, or sorry, Pokemon Red, and he said, you can have this as long as we agree to trade Pokemon. And I was
Sure.
like, yes, my liege. I will trade with you. And so him with his Game Boy Color and me with my gray brick that guzzled down the four AA batteries. It
Especially if you
was,
use the volume.
oh yeah, don't get me started. And no backlight on
Yeah.
that. Back in those days, no backlights. You had to get a little light that you plugged in, but neither here nor there. What is important, though, is that Pokemon Red, as we know, Pokemon Sun and Moon are coming out pretty soon. But Pokemon Red and Blue, the games that started it all, saw their release in the United States last week, back in 1998.
I
It's
have fond
crazy.
memories of those games as well, man. They're great games.
Gosh, they are the strategy. I mean, I could go on, but we've got a talk show. We've got a talk show to do. But just so you know, this is the we are standing on the shoulders of greatness,
Yes.
notably Pokemon Red.
Absolutely. For those of you who may just be tuning in, this is Two Nerds in a Pod, our gaming talk show where we talk about nerdy stuff. Not just gaming, but mostly gaming, but also Netflix, comics, movies, whatever we want to talk about. I'm Mr. Nice Guy 425, and I have a good man here with me named James Maxinovoy.
James McAvoy, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. No, his name is Maction. Good friend of mine, great co-host. Our next segment. Are we ready for the next segment?
Indeed, I
Let's
think
do
we
it.
are.
So, guys, our next segment is Whiteside. Welcome to the stream, man. Our next segment is viewer question, and I did get a viewer question submitted this week by a good friend of ours named the King of Kink. Is his name, and I don't know what that name means, but that's his name. He wants to know, and I'll let you answer this first, Mac. I'll let you fill this one. He said, should digital games be cheaper than physical games when you consider the fact that with digital games there's no packaging and there is no shipping? Now it's a very basic question, but I could see it going either way. So once again, should digital games be cheaper than physical games?
Um, well, since I'll be weighing in first, I'm going to say yes. I think that digital games should be cheaper, particularly because you factor out many many of the things that come along with physical games. Number one, distribution. King of Kink mentioned that. Distribution doesn't need to be a thing at all. The actual printing or the production of the game in a physical format doesn't need to happen at all. Again, a savings to the company. Why not, pass that along to the game player? And one thing that I really, really like about this, and this is not really a direct answer to the question or anything like that, but just something that that you have to remember about digital games is that a digital game being sold doesn't impact scarcity. You know, I mean, there's not a print of games that actually decrease with every game sold, and also in the same way as like E.T. Remember it getting all those Atari games getting thrown into the landfill? I mean, you know, it's one of those things where it's like you're not left holding the bag on a huge printing run of games if it doesn't sell well. If it sells well or it doesn't sell well, it doesn't cost you any additional units.
That's a good
It
point.
might save you money, and of course, I mean, and scarcity is kind of in my mind a little bit because I've been seeing prices on on old NES and Super NES games, and some of the prices on those are very high because there are just so few floating about in circulation. Not something that you run into with digital games. But now I'm kind of rambling. I would say yes, I think digital distribution should be cheaper than physical distribution games.
That's a perspective that I never would have thought of. I agree with you, but I never would have thought of the fact that if they don't sell well, there's less consequence. Like, you don't have to lower the price to clear your inventory. Whereas with a physical game, you want those to sell because you printed them all. So you have to kind of cut the price. So I think that's cool. I never even thought of that. Now I'm gonna go ahead and agree with you for a lot of reasons. With a physical game, there's so many benefits you get that you don't get with a digital game. With a physical game, I can save it, and 20, 30 years from now, I can show it to my grandkids. And if it's not available to download anymore because it's been taken down, I can still pop it in and I can still play it, assuming that I still have that hardware. So for that, I'm willing to pay for that benefit if I want a physical game. And really, I think that's the main reason that I think, other than the fact that, some of us like to collect, we want the physical package, we want the case, we want the artwork, we want all that. You're getting that benefit with the physical. The digital, you can't resell as well. So if you buy a physical game and it sucks, you can trade it in. It's more expensive for that reason. If you buy a digital game and it sucks, unless you're within like less than 2 hours of playing it on Steam, you don't really have any recourse. So I mean, for that
Yeah,
reason,
so it should be cheaper because there's less value that remains after purchase in
yeah,
digital.
absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a certain level of depreciation with a physical game, and so yeah, I mean, they lose half their value as soon as you open them. You get the joy of opening it, and then you can only trade it in for $30 to GameStop. So
That's why you got to do an unboxing video.
yeah,
Put
so
it
you
on
can
YouTube and try to
monetize
recoup
that.
the losses.
That's right, absolutely. So, King, I think we're both, to answer your question, I think we're both in agreement that digital games should be less. That's that viewer question segment. If any of you guys ever want to submit a question for that segment, hit us up on Twitter at 2NerdsInAPod, or at Maction, or at Mr. Nice Guy 42, or excuse me, Nice Guy Gaming on Twitter. So that's that, Mac.
Yes, indeed. So now with that done, going to move on to legalese real quick. So this is about digital homicide games, right, Mr. Nice Guy?
That's right.
That's right. So digital homicide. We've got a little bit of shall we say a conclusion to this story.
Okay.
So I'm going to use the words of Polygon because they did a little bit better job of than I could do here summarizing this. The two-man studio that sought to subpoena Valve Corporation for the personal information of 100 Steam users is withdrawing all of its legal actions, saying that recent events and bad publicity surrounding them have wiped out their business and their ability to even pursue a lawsuit. Last week, Digital Homicide asked for and was granted a motion for dismissal of its $18 million lawsuit against Steam users, whom the studio alleged had committed harassment with scathing reviews, comments, and criticisms of Digital Homicide's games and co-founders, James Romey and his brother Robert. When James submitted his motion in mid-September to subpoena Valve Corporation for the identifying information of 100 users, Valve responded by removing all of Digital Homicide's offerings from the Steam marketplace. And the subpoena request was never granted. Romy told at this time. Later on, they told Polygon and their affiliates that the case dismissal was only due to financial reasons caused by the removal of our games.
That's a lie.
As far as Digital Homicide, it's destroyed. It's been stomped into the ground from 1,000 directions, and its use is discontinued. James said he is going back into the workforce and watching what's really going on. I don't know what exactly that means.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
After blaming video games media for painting him and his studio, quote, in a negative consumer light, he then claimed, we've been fighting for lower prices, and we've been leading the fight for lower prices and a more open market.
What?
While Digital Homicide's offerings have always widely been criticized as amateurish, rushed, and cobbled together from recycled assets, up to the day Steam removed them, Digital Homicide had about a dozen games listed for sale on that storefront. And so they, and then that's pretty much it. So so Steam denied their subpoena back in September and just cut all their games off of the Steam store. And then they started trying to pursue an $18 million lawsuit against the 100 people who had wronged them. And anyway, they have dropped that.
Right, because I'm sure those 100 people have $18 million. Just because they went online and wrote negative reviews doesn't mean they have any money.
Yeah. Hey, they already gave you their money when they bought the game. So, come on. But yeah, it is just astounding sometimes. But let's not. It's entirely our fault, Mr. Nice Guy. You and I, as part of this video game media, we have destroyed their company and their livelihood, and it is our fault that they can no longer pursue their $18 million slap suit against people for having an opinion.
Which is ridiculous, because if it had been on a quote-unquote reputable gaming site, podcast, whatever, they wouldn't have tried to do that. Because it was people who they viewed as anonymous, who they viewed as trolls, they tried to go after them and say, well, hey, you know what? You guys all got together to bring us down for making games that you view as bad, when really it's just a free speech issue. It wasn't slanderous. It wasn't harassment. So it is what it is. It's over with. Hopefully people will start making better games and putting them on Steam. Now, I'm a huge believer in the fact that anyone should be able to put a game on Steam if they meet the requirements, but people should also be allowed to review it to prevent people from buying games that are viewed as bad. So, I mean, let the reviews speak for itself. I don't think Steam needs to be stricter on who they let put games on there. I think that the sales will speak for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Now, it's interesting that you mentioned that. There was actually some hubbub a little while ago where someone... Hubbub, yes, where I actually read an article. We didn't actually go over it last time in interest of time. However, there was an article on a fairly prominent tech website, Engadget, about one of their editors claims that Steam is basically leaves the door too wide open to anybody to put a game on there. And they claimed the title of the article was "Steam is turning into the App Store," specifically the Google App Store, which they claim was just totally cluttered with all these games, and you can't find a good one to save your life type thing.
But nobody's forcing people to buy or to download those games and apps, though.
True, very true. And I won't try to summarize them or anything like that, other than just to say that the flip side of your anybody who wants to put a game up on Steam should be able to, provided it conforms with their requirements. But also there are those who are fighting for, trying to convince others that what is of most interest is having a more closed kind of approach to the Steam store. So, yeah.
Fair enough. we'll see what happens if they want to make any change. Now, someone in the chat said, wait, what is the App Store? And I hope that you're joking. Unless you're an Android user, in which case you really may not know. And essentially the App Store is the iPhone version of whatever it is on Android, where you can buy apps or download apps even like Netflix or YouTube or whatever other apps you want, little games, Angry Birds, things like that. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, cool. Now, I don't think we had a Kickstarter for this week, did we? And that's totally cool.
Yeah, no, sadly, nobody's been stepping up to the plate and putting out any Kickstarters that really caught our eye. At least not since last week.
Usually, guys, we do a thing called Kick It or Kickstart It, where we read about a Kickstarter that we think is either good or bad, and then you can vote if you think it should be kickstarted or if you think it should be kicked to the curb. We're going to skip that section this week. However, we do have a dummy of the week. Are you guys ready for the dummy of the week? Now, I'm excited to share this story. Mac, are you ready for this, my friend?
Oh yes. Now I just want to say this is the first time I'm hearing it. So dazzle me with this tale of stupidity, Mr. Nice Guy. I am prepared. My body is ready.
Now there may be multiple dummies in this story, so we'll see because I want to get the opinion of the people in the chat as well.
It could be a double feature, folks.
A double dummy. This is from the commercialappeal.com website. It's part of the USA Today network, it says. Title of it says, Memphis man charged in $600,000 video game theft. Now, that's more than $500,000 for those of you kids keeping track at home. $600,000 of video game theft is a lot of money. So when I read this story, I immediately thought, did he steal a truck full of video games? What did he do to steal that much money in video games? As video games generally cost $60 each for console games. So let's read on and see what he did. It says a 28-year-old man was arrested after he was accused of stealing $600,000 worth of video games from the warehouse where he worked, Memphis police said. Barry Hicks is charged with theft of property over $250,000. He's accused of stealing, now listen to this, 600 pre-release Madden 17 and NBA 2K17 video games from the Technicolor warehouse. On August 26, Memphis police were contacted by Technicolor's director of security about the thefts. According to the arrest affidavit, the security director told police that between August 14th and August 30th, 600 of the video games, now here's where it gets weird, valued at $1,000 each, had been stolen from the receiving docks at the company. Police reviewed the security video and saw an employee move the box of video games from the receiving dock to an unknown location in the warehouse. The box was later found empty and sealed in another part of the warehouse. It goes on to say that essentially they tracked the games to a different guy who then ratted out Mr. Hicks, who was an employee that stole them, and said that they were going to split the profits. Now, I didn't study math in college, but I do buy video games on occasion. And like I said, I know that they cost about $60 each. And I think that 60, because he stole 60 games, he stole 600 games. Let's say they're $100 each to make the math easy. How about that?
Yeah. I like easy math.
So if he stole 600 games at $100 each,
that's $60,000.
$60,000, kids. That's not $600,000. It's $60,000. And really, it's not even that much because they're not 100 each. But let's give them the benefit of the doubt. The people who sentenced this guy. Let's assume that maybe he stole the Legendary Edition, which is potentially $100 of some of these games. Comes with all the extra bonuses in it. That's not $600,000. Now, I kind of get their logic. They're trying to say that the game came out early, or that he stole the games before release and could potentially sell them for $1,000 each. But that's not their value. Now, is the guy dumb for stealing the games? Absolutely. He stole games from his own employer where there was a security camera and thought he'd get away with it. But I think there's another dummy in this story. I think it's whoever sentenced him and tried to say that he stole over $250,000 of video games. Mac, what are your thoughts, man?
I can see the thing. Here's the funny thing, right? What something is worth is, kind of like this weird question. I think you hit on it, Mr. Nice Guy, with the maybe he could have gotten someone to pay $1,000 for a copy. But it would be pretty. I mean, how far in advance of release was this theft?
It was. It looks like it was August 14th to August 30th, and I know NBA
Uh-huh.
2K came out, I believe, September 17th for early release. Or yeah, so mid to late September. So 2 to 3 weeks early, he stole these games.
Two to
Maybe a
three
month.
weeks
Maybe a
early.
month. Maybe a month.
Maybe a month. Okay, I just, I think you hit on it. Maybe if the argument is maybe he could have made that profit on it, or maybe that's how much damage would have been. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, like, I mean, PlayStation, Xbox, don't these consoles have online enabling where they can just shut down someone who's bought these things illegitimately?
They
Or
could.
had them
Yeah.
before the release date. I mean, that's part of their copy protections. I I don't know. I mean, I, I'm just thinking about it. If I think about if someone's like, "Hey, look, I've got this copy of a game before it's released, $1,000." Be like, "No, are you kidding? You pay me $500 to stick that into my $500 console and get
Yeah.
it bricked for the copy protections." I wasn't born yesterday. I'm I'm sort of at this thing where I feel like the kind of copy protections that we already know are on these consoles make getting an illegitimate copy or picking up a copy well in advance of what you know you should be able to get it at even less appealing, even less valuable,
Right.
because you might find one person who will pay 1,000, but I think most people know enough about the console that they're sticking their games into to be like, this smells fishy to me.
Now, one of our viewers in the chat, CV Tech, said big YouTubers did buy some 2K copies for $300, so when the game drops, they had content ready. And that's true. Some people buy the game early so they can get videos ready to go without uploading them and breaking the embargo before
Hmm.
release date. So, yeah, I guess that could make sense. But there was the example a few weeks ago of the guy who bought No Man's Sky before it came out, allegedly for about $1,300. And, uh, and then after he played through the game, they said, by the way, on release date, we're going to wipe anyone's progress who purchased the game early. So it's like Mac was saying. I mean, you can get the game early, but if the company really wants to, they can just wipe the servers, wipe everyone's progress. And then someone in the chat, Whiteside TV, is saying that YouTubers get the game early. Yeah, but that's because it's given to them. And it's given to them by the company. That's totally different than going out and buying a stolen copy. But regardless, I think that this guy who stole the games is dumb for stealing from his own employer, for stealing, period. But stealing somewhere where he had to know there were cameras watching him. Are the people who are charging him dumb as well? Yeah, they are, because they're just trying to get him charged for over $250,000. So he probably has to face more severe consequences. But two dummies of the week. That's it for that segment.
Yes, indeed, and I think that's just about it for today.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. First, though, we got to talk about Netflix
And what we're
and
playing,
what we're
yeah.
playing. Now, Mac, do you want to take? Do
It,
you want to lead it? Lead it?
I do want to lead it, Mr. Nice Guy. I am caught up in The Walking Dead.
Yes.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! It
Spoiler
ends
alert.
with someone with a baseball bat with barbed wire wrapped around it, and that's where season 6 ends. But here's what I will say: The Walking Dead has frustrated me for a long time, for one single fact that they never have predefined rally points. They never have predefined spots where they say, hey, if everything goes to crap, we all meet up here, 2 miles away on that hilltop, or at this structure where we've got some guns, some food, and some ammunition stored. They never do that. And for as many times as and I'm talking simply about the television series, about the AMC series Walking Dead. I can't speak to the comics. Mr. Nice Guy will correct me if I'm wrong there.
Okay, let's
But
hear it.
they've had problems multiple times where their base of operations has just gone down.
Yep.
Like, the zombies have broken in, or people have gotten through, or problems, but they've run into this problem enough that there is no excuse to, at the 6th season, was the first time was the first time I ever heard them said, and they said it just as they left on that last episode. They're like, all right, so if stuff goes down, you know where the rally point is.
Yep.
I mean, Mrs. the Mac and I, we have 3 rally points in real life.
Yes.
We have 3 positions, like natural disaster. Every single kid in like an elementary school, there's a rally point.
You just read my mind.
Yeah, do you remember doing fire drills and they being like, our class meets by the tree. Our class meets by the thing. If you get separated, go out there, go to the tree. That's where we all go. Where do we go, kids? To the tree. So it's one of those things where it's like every school kid knows that I myself, I have 3 rally points established with my wife because that's just who I am. And yet the Walking Dead folk, it takes them 6 seasons before I even hear someone say something about that.
Now, to be fair, they were mobile a lot, but regardless, you're right.
It's not like they haven't spent, like 6 months, 8 months in a spot. All you need to be is like, the prison, any place else. I mean, if you're going to be someplace more than a night, you ought to have a rally point. If you're on the go and you're like, all right, we'll camp here. You see that hilltop right there to the east? If something goes wrong, we meet up there. That's as simple as it has
Mac
to
is
be.
paranoid, you guys.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. When he stops at a rest stop, he's like, yo, while I'm in here taking a leak, if something goes wrong, we'll meet at the car.
Mm-hmm. Hey, that is rally point number 1, Mr. Nice Guy.
That's right. That's right. Now, Mac, thank you for sharing that, dude. I agree with you on The Walking Dead. And it's reached the point where it's the recurring theme, right? Rick and his group of people find a place they think it's going to be safe. It gets overrun by zombies, or it gets overrun by other crazy people.
Yeah.
Or they get captured, like when they were at Terminus. Now, I think that Rick and his group are slowly becoming the crazy people, the people who are lacking in morals, because they're killing people. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, not prematurely, but
pre-zombification.
Yeah, and like preemptively killing people. Like, hey, who are you? I don't know you. I'm going to kill you just because you might be bad. So it's interesting to see that change. Now, someone just made my day in the chat because I've been waiting a long time for Flash Season 2 to come on Netflix, and I did not realize until this exact moment that it is up on Netflix. So, thank you to Okami for saying that in the chat. I'm going to go watch some Flash Season 2 as soon as we get done streaming here. But as far as what I have been watching this week, honestly, I've been watching a lot of Pokemon. And I do have kids who are into Pokemon. I've been watching Pokemon X and Y, mostly with them, but it's really gotten me back into like my childhood. Just remembering how much fun I had playing Pokemon Red. Oh, Mac has a Pokemon right there.
I've got a Master Ball.
Oh, excuse me, a Master Ball. It looked like I couldn't see the whole thing. But here's the thing about Pokemon X and Y, or any of the new Pokemon iterations. I remember there being like 150 original Pokemon, and I remember as a kid knowing what all of them were. Now there are so many Pokemon, I don't even know all the names. How many are they up to, like 500 or 600?
Oh, gosh, it's got to be more than that because most new generations have added at least 100.
And so, like, it'll be about to go to a quote-unquote commercial because it's on Netflix, and it'll say, who's this Pokemon? And it shows the outline of them. And I'm like, I have no idea what Pokemon that is. I've never seen that Pokemon before.
There are 720 confirmed Pokemon, not including various forms.
Okay, like evolutions?
It looks like 720, not including evolution forms. And I don't know how many more we get in Pokemon Sun and Moon, if we get any more, more in. Let's see, Generation 7. Sorry, yep, Generation 7. Blah blah blah. Is Pokemon Sun and Moon? Okay, yeah, I should be able to find out this. Sorry, carry on, Mr.
You're okay.
Nesky.
So that's really, as far as stuff that I've been watching this week that I was not watching last week. That's really the only thing. Now, Mac, I'm surprised you haven't watched Luke Cage yet.
I have.
Oh, you have? Dude, I stole your thunder, homie.
No, it's totally cool, and I love Luke Cage.
It's good.
It's pretty
I
awesome.
Watched it. It's good.
Mrs. the Mac loves Luke Cage as well. She
has good taste.
She does have good taste. It's fantastic, especially if you've already watched Jessica Jones. You don't have to watch Jessica Jones first, but if you but you should watch Jessica Jones, and then you should watch Luke Cage because it's fantastic. Rosario Dawson, I watched her run down and beat up a mugger.
Really? She's a nurse
Yep,
in the show. She doesn't have
yep.
superpowers.
She does not. Somebody tried to steal her purse. She ran him down and beat him up.
See, that's what happens. You become like those who you hang out with.
That's right.
That's
That's
proof right
right.
there.
Now she still doesn't have superpowers. She's just like, oh no, we are not doing that. So,
Nice. Well, cool. Now, Mac, we do have one last thing to chat about, and then we're going to wrap it up, guys, and I'm going to go watch some Flash. What games have you been playing, man?
I've been playing a few, not too terribly many, but just a couple of games. For example, recently picked up Broforce,
Oh, I
and
have
have been playing
Broforce.
Broforce.
Yeah.
It's fun. Broforce
fun.
is lots of fun. We should play it together, Mr.
Well,
Nice
I have
Guy.
it on PlayStation.
Ah,
It was a
I
free
have
PS Plus title a few months ago. It's good.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's fun. But yeah, I've been playing Broforce, and that's been very enjoyable. And then just a couple other games. I've been playing some old Nintendo games. Zelda 1, Zelda 2. Having a good time with that. Playing through the Zelda series. I might have to carry that forward to the Super Nintendo and then on to the Nintendo 64 and finally finish off and finally actually play Majora's Mask. So we'll see about that. But anyway, yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Nice. And as for me, and what have you guys in the chat been playing? I want to know for you guys in the chat what games you've been playing and what games you're looking forward to. We didn't even talk about PlayStation 4 VR on today's stream, and that's okay, but it does come out this month. And,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm excited for that. I think it's sold out. I won't be getting it day one, but I'm excited for it. As far as games I've been playing, honestly, guys, it's been mostly about NBA 2K. I've been on that My Team grind, trying to get as many characters as possible unlocked and as many cards as possible. And there's one game that I'm looking forward to picking up probably this week. It's a digital download. It's called Inside. Mac, have you heard about Inside?
Inside.
You should look it up because did you ever play Limbo?
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's made by the same people who made Limbo, which I believe is Play Dead. I'm not certain though. Is the name of the studio, but regardless, that game came out and it's got nothing but good reviews, critical acclaim. I watched a little bit. I think I watched the trailer, and it looks really, really, really good. So I'm hyped to get that. It's like $20 digital download title, and I think it's probably going to be a PS Plus title eventually. But I don't know if I have the patience to wait because I loved Limbo, so I want to play that. Now, people in the chat are saying Call of Duty Infinite Warfare and Call of Duty 4 are games you're looking forward to. Someone said they just got 2K and they can't wait for Battlefield 1. All good games to look forward to. It's going to be a good holiday season. Now, for me, I think that's all I had. Mac, did you have anything else you wanted to?
No, that was it. I think, frankly, it's just been it's been a good show. It's been good good chatting about games with you and with you guys in the chat as well. You guys are the best.
Awesome. Guys, this has been Two Nerds in a Pod episode 2. Real quick, follow us on Twitter at Two Nerds in a Pod. Follow myself and Maction here on Twitch. You can see those links at the top. Also, we do put the episodes up on YouTube at youtube.com/Two Nerds in a Podcast. And the first episode is already uploaded. I think I made it private, but I will make it public. Submit your viewer questions for next week, and we will see you next time. Keep it nerdy, kids. See ya.